Alright, Algebra 1. This is Mr. Geiswhite. These are your 1-4B notes, and we're going to keep going with our order of operations. So, simplifying expressions. And again, we're using PEMDAS. So, first thing we're going to do is look inside the parentheses, and I see a 3 squared. So, that means that we'll start off by doing 3 squared to get 9. So, you can see here, I'm going to underline what I'm doing in each step. So, we'll start off doing that, and then we'll get rid of that. So next up inside the parentheses, 1 minus 9 gives us negative 8. Keep going inside there. 16 divided by negative 8 is a negative 2. And then in this step right here, we have two different parts that have exponents. So I'm going to do these both at the same time. Now, one thing, and this is the reason why I put this one in here, you have to be cautious because sometimes we see a double negative. We want to automatically change this to a positive, but that happens in the multiplication step, and right here we have an exponent, so the exponent has to get done first. Okay, so this negative 3 squared has to be done before this double negative is changed to a positive, so that's why I did it in that order. So just wanted to explain that, and I put that in there for a reason because a lot of times I see people trying to do that. So negative 3 squared is 9, and then negative 2 to the third power is a negative 8, and then we work left to right. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. Minus 8 gives you your final answer of negative 15. So, what does the word substitute mean? Well, if you think about it, like if I'm not here someday and somebody fills in for me, that's a substitute teacher. So it's the same idea in math when we're substituting in. Basically, we're going to take a number and we're going to replace that variable with that number. So that's all substitute means. It's replacing variables, which are just letters, with numbers. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here is we're still doing order of operations, but we're going to start off with our first step being substituting in a number for a variable. So let's go through a couple of these here together. Now what I will do is help it look a little bit easier for you. So let's say A is going to be my red number, and then B is my blue number. All right, so I have 3 times a minus 2 cubed divided by b. So let me fill in the numbers here. So a is 7, and then b was 4. Okay. So now, again, I will underline what I'm doing in each step. So first of all, parentheses. Well, if we look inside our parentheses, we cannot simplify anything inside the parentheses. So then we go on to exponents. 2 to the third power. Now, it's just 2 to the third power. We're not taking the negative with it. All right, so 2 to the third power gives us 8. So I'll recopy everything. And I'm going to get rid of the different colors here because I just want to show you that when we're plugging it in, basically where everything is going there, okay? So just to help you there in that first step. So there we go. There's a first step of order of operations with your exponents. So after exponents, we have multiply and divide. And again, these happen left to right. So 3 times 7 happens first. So that's going to be done first, and then we'll do the 8 divided by 4. Again, you can do multiple things in each step. I'm just doing one thing at a time because I want to show you every little step, and I know some of you need to see this, and it just helps you to avoid those little mistakes. All right, next, I did my multiplying, dividing in left to right. I have one more thing here, so I'm going to bring down that 21. So 21 minus 8 divided by 2, 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then the last step here, 21 minus 2. 21 minus 2 gives me my final answer of 19. Okay? And again, I might be going through this a little fast for some of you, and that's okay. Just go back through, rewind the video, and recopy any of those steps that you may need to see, or pause it while we're going through it. Next one, same thing. I'm going to color code these. So let's say we'll say C is negative 2. That's going to be my red. And then we'll say D is green. So that's my 5 there. Okay, so again, I'm going to recopy all this other stuff in a different color here. So I have whatever c is to the fourth power. Oh, and another thing, we want to make sure that when we're replacing variables with numbers, you can see what I'm doing here in my first step. Use parentheses, and it's especially important when you have negative numbers. You always want to make sure that you're using parentheses there because that will help you avoid those little mistakes with the negative numbers that happen. They happen all the time. So we just want to make sure that we don't forget about those, especially when you're plugging them in your calculator. If you just enter -2 to the fourth power in your calculator without the parentheses, it will give you a -16, and that will be incorrect. Okay, this will end up being a positive number. So keep that in mind. Parentheses are very important, even though they might not seem like they're very important. They really are. All right, so here again, nothing inside the parentheses can be simplified. So then we go on to exponents. So let's use blue to underline what's happening here. So -2 to the fourth power, like I said, use your parentheses when you plug that in your calculator. -2 to the fourth power is going to give you 16. And I'm recopying everything else. Nothing else is happening in this specific step. Next, multiplying and dividing. Well, I only have one thing here to multiply and divide, and that's 5 times 2. So we'll do that in that step. So bring down the 16 minus 5 times 2 is 10. Pretty simple problem here. There weren't a whole lot of steps. 16 minus 10 gives you a final answer of 6. All right, next. I have this one done out already, so I will just talk you through all of the steps. But again, feel free to pause or rewind at any point in time to get caught up. So here we go. First up, plug in your numbers. So -2, that's for r. So I'm plugging in -2 for r, minus s is -5. And then we work inside the parentheses. So first thing I notice, I have a double negative. So I change that to a -2 plus 5. And again, I can do that because there's no exponent after the -5 right here where I'm pointing it. Okay, if there was an exponent right here, you couldn't do that yet. Then, working inside the parentheses still, -2 plus 5 gives you 3. Last step, 2 times 3 is 6. Final answer. Next, plug them in. First step. This is just everything plugged in here into that first step. -4 times 7 squared minus 7 times -4 squared. So the first thing that we're going to do is our exponents. So 7 squared is 49, and then -4 squared is 16. Okay, so here in my first step, I have 4 times, again, -7 squared is 49, and -4 squared is 16. Then we're going to multiply, and again, I'm doing this left to right, so I'm going to do -4 times 49 to give me -196. 7 times 16 is 112, so I have -196 minus 112, which gives me my final answer of -308. And last one here, plug in your numbers as started off, just like before. So we're plugging in our numbers here for m, q, so 3 is m, q is -4 squared, and then minus a negative. Again, this minus a negative here we can change to +4 because there was no exponent here, okay? If there was an exponent like a 2 or something out here, then that's something where you would have to do the exponent first. But it's not, so we can go ahead and change that. But first of all, I'm going to do my exponents. So -4 squared is 16. So I bring down to 3 times 16 minus a -4. Keep going. 3 times 16 is 48, and here's where I changed my double negative. Okay, so here was a minus a negative. I changed them both to positive to make that +4. Last step, 48 plus 4 is 52 for your final answer. And again, I know I went through some of those kind of quickly, so if you do have any questions on those, rewind, go back through, and if you still cannot understand what's happening, make sure you ask me in class.